Well, good evening, everyone. Gord Wilson here, home office. Thank you for joining us in our Zoom call. This is our second of six virtual town hall meetings of the season, as this 2021-22 season, hockey season is upon us, and it is upon us. Believe you me, I've just spent the last 6 hours in the rink watching day one officially of training camp, and that's why I'm wearing a sweater here today. I'm a little chilled to the bone here, but we want to thank you very much for taking some time to join us here on this webinar. We're going to take about 35 minutes of your time. We thank you very much for submitting questions. We're going to get through as many as possible, but it is an exciting time for the hockey club, and we have an awful lot to talk about and answer a lot of questions. Without further ado, I want to welcome a man who really needs no introduction. He's made a very impactful presence in the community since returning to his hometown of Ottawa. I want you to welcome the President of Business Operations, Mr. Anthony Leblanc. Anthony, thanks for joining us here. Much appreciated.
Thanks, Gordon. Thanks for doing this. I've been really looking forward to this opportunity.
We have an awful lot to talk about, lots of things to cover, obviously. And as I said, this is the second of six town halls that we've done. We started one yesterday, or we started this whole process yesterday with DJ Smith kicking off training camp. So we look forward to talking a little bit about the business side of things. Development camp, rookie camp is over, main camp has started. Many of the Senator veterans, well, they're all in town, obviously, 54 players in town and on the ice today. Preseason kicks off no sooner than Sunday, for heaven's sakes. The hockey club is in Winnipeg. I have to tell everybody that I'm thrilled to death to be a part of my 30th season of covering Senators hockey and broadcasting Senators hockey. And I went through the summer months, Anthony, with fingers crossed, hoping that there would be a semi-return to normalcy for myself and Dean Brown. And the wish has come true. We are back on the road with the team. So that is a huge plus. Of course, all the action all on TSN 1200. So without further ado, let's get right into it, Anthony, and talk a little bit about the upcoming season. Lots of things, obviously. You've been in your role for more than a year now as president of Hockey Ops. How long has it been? How has it been being back in Ottawa, and how has the first year been for you?
So once again, thanks, Gordon. Just a slight faux pas there. It's not. I'm not president of Hockey Ops. It's business ops.
Business, yes. Apologies. As soon as I said it, I went, "Oh, I'm giving him a." Well, maybe I'm not giving you a promotion.
Oh no, it would that would be a frightening, actually, to have me in that role. No, and it's hard to believe it's been a year and a half that I've been in the role. And you're right, I've been a resident of Ottawa. It's funny you mentioned 30 years that you've been doing this, and that's about the time frame that I've been a resident off and on. Even when I was part of the Phoenix, then Arizona Coyotes, I retained a residence in Ottawa. So it really is my home. And when this opportunity came up, as I said, a year and a half ago, I couldn't have. It was a dream come true. I've been a season seat member of the Senators throughout. Was there with everyone in 2007 for the Stanley Cup run, the finals, and so yeah, no, it's been great. Obviously, it's been a season like no other, or a season and a half like no other, but it does appear like we are finally, slowly coming into some form of normalcy, as you said. We're not there yet. We're unfortunately one of only a handful of clubs that don't have full capacity limits yet.
Yeah.
They're certainly hopeful that will be, rectified here in short order. But until that happens, there's still, a bit of a cloud over us. But on the flip side, as you said, look, the guys are in the building. We're going to have fans in the building. It is an exciting time. And this team, you talked to DJ yesterday. This is a team that people are excited about. It's an up and coming team, a good young team. They showed us what they can do last season, in particular in the second half. That makes certainly our job on the business side easier when the team plays the way that they played in the second half, and the optimism that's in place. But yeah, there's a lot going on.
From a business point of view, no season has ever looked like it did last year, obviously with a 28-game home game schedule, with no fans in the stands here. I got to ask you right off the get-go here, with the potential of getting at least 1,000 in the building, how excited are you to have fans back in the building?
Well, and you know, unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend last week at the rookie game due to a personal situation. But the feedback I received is the 1,000 or so people that came to the building. There were people literally hugging the columns.
Yeah.
And, I don't think they were kissing the floor, but they were just. What I was told is the smiles did not come off people's faces. So yes, last season I was at, I believe, every single home game, and I know you were there as well. In particular, that first home game against Toronto, it was just bizarre to be watching a game with no fans in the building. And I remember when we would score, and of course we won that game, when you're cheering loud and you're the only one in that building that's cheering, other than the players on the ice, it was a very odd situation to wrap your head around. So even 1,000 fans, and I'm very confident we'll have more than 1,000 fans, hopefully as soon as next week's home preseason games.
Mm-hmm.
But even 1,000 fans would make a monumental difference, but certainly more fans is what we're hoping and expecting.
Obviously, next week, meaning September 29th, when the Leafs are in town here, are you able to offer any sort of hint as to when you might be hearing from the province on attendance?
No,
numbers?
I mean, what I'm told is there will be an update coming imminently.
Okay.
I don't know if that means days, hours. I certainly hope that it won't stretch into weeks, and don't expect it will. I think we will hear something here shortly. But with, in all candor, I don't know what that will be. The lowest capacity, I believe, in the league currently is, other than ourselves in Toronto, it's either Vancouver or Montreal. I can't recall which one. I am hopeful that we don't continue to be the lowest capacity. And look, we have announced already, just like Toronto, just like I think all of the Canadian teams, that we're going to follow the rules. And we believe in the rules of requiring double vaccination, proof of identification, mask wearing. We're going to follow those rules. So for us, it's logical. Like I talk to Eugene about this all the time. It's just logical that if we're only allowing, and we mean everybody, not just fans, it's the people, all of the members of our staff, the people that are working food and beverage, the parking attendants, anybody who comes into that building has to be vaccinated. So it's only logic that you would get to the point of having absolute full capacity like you're seeing in 30 of the, or I guess right now 28 of the 32 buildings in the National Hockey League. But again, we'll defer to the province, the Ministry of Health, Dr. Moore, and hopefully we hear some good news here shortly.
Okay. Yeah, it obviously does make sense. Double vaccinated to get into the building. What's it going to look like for somebody entering the CTC for the first time?
Well, in this interim period, as we lead into Ontario releasing their vaccine passport app, it is going to be a little bit more cumbersome. So it was good to have a dry run last Saturday, because we do have to go through essentially a two-step process. So what you'll see when you come in is there will be, kind of as I said, there will be an initial entry point where you will have to show the proof of your vaccination, which can either be, on your phone or the actual printout. And we will have to have people verify the identification of people by showing your driver's license or health card or something along those lines. Mm-hmm. Again, I wasn't there last Saturday, and it was only 1,000 people, but I heard the process was relatively smooth. After that, then you'll go into the typical show your ticket on your phone, because we've gone ticketless. Basically, it's a paperless system. You'll scan your ticket and off you go. Now, there is also a third wrinkle this year, a league requirement of a new bag policy. So the largest bags that can come into the building are essentially a women's clutch. So that will be what you will see when you come into the building is a number of new signs indicating things that are required. We'll have people walking around the perimeter looking, seeing in particular if people are carrying bags that won't be allowed, so we can we can go ahead and inform them that they should return to their vehicle and drop that off. Now, it's going to get more challenging as the capacity increases, and we'll all learn along the way. So, one of the other things we'll be doing as we get into, and it'll depend on what capacity is that's announced for next week's preseason games, we'll certainly be opening doors a lot earlier than we have in the past.
Okay.
Because we want to give people the opportunity to get there early, go through the process. And then, as I said, come October 22nd, I believe is still the target date. Then that will go into more of an app-based system for the identification, more of a check mark or a QR code. So it won't be quite as cumbersome, but we're waiting for the province to come back to us with that.
I think a lot of the participants on this in this town hall are happy to hear that the building will get opened a little bit earlier, because I think, Anthony, there's almost a guarantee that people are going to be sent away and have to return to their cars to drop stuff off. I think with the new bag policy, and I saw the size that our security has to measure up. There's a change. There's without question a change here. So I think the fact that you've realized that people are going to be turned away, getting the building open early and allowing them to get to their cars and then return is a good thing, without question. What's the mask policy once inside CTC?
Great question. Glad you brought that up, Gord. Masking is still going to be required. And in like most environments, you can remove your mask only when you're eating or drinking. But we ask that, in other times that you're not eating or drinking, that your mask is on, covering from, the top of your nose to underneath your chin.
Yep.
We will, again, we're trying not to be, too, I don't know what the right word is, kind of that Eastern communist of the 40s. But at the same time, we want people, look, the safety of our patrons is utmost to us. So we will have people going around and politely reminding people, because I know it sometimes, especially if you're at a game and you're excited and you've just had, maybe you've had a sip of a soft drink, you might not have your mask on properly. We want to ensure everyone has their masks on properly. And so we're going to remind people, and we will not tolerate people who refuse to abide by the policies.
Yeah.
If you do not abide by the policies, we will be asking you to leave.
You had mentioned paperless, going paperless in the building. That means cashless, I'm assuming, obviously. What's the senator's policy on this here now?
So we have gone completely cashless, and we're seeing that in so many venues now. And I mean, I don't know about you, Gord. I don't think I've carried cash on me for 3 years. Everything is just either using my phone or just the couple of cards that I carry. But I do. Having that said, I do realize there are people that carry cash. So we are going to be having reverse ATMs where people can go, if all they have is cash, they can insert their cash and get kind of basically a debit card, so to speak, that they can use at the concession stands. But and again, this will be a work in progress, a learning curve. But again, we're not the only building. Every building that I know of, certainly in Canada, are following these new guidelines as we hopefully come out of this COVID situation. Like everything else, all of these major life events like 9/11 20 years ago, it changes the way you live, and the way we're going to interact moving forward, and the way we're going to be attending these types of events. It's changed forever. It's as simple as that.
If attendance is a fluid situation, Anthony, is there spacing between seats?
No, we're not focusing more on the physical distancing moving forward. I believe, and again, I'm not going to get into, well, I will, what the heck. My opinion is I think we should be full capacity because everybody's going to be vaccinated. I think I'm going to assume the logic of not having full buildings may have to do with entering the building or exiting the building. But again, I don't agree with that philosophy because, as I said, you look at the 28 of 32 NHL teams have wide open full capacity, including Winnipeg, Calgary, and Edmonton currently, and then hopefully the other 4 Canadian teams, which includes us, will follow suit. But no, it's a verbose way of saying no, there will not be a need for social distancing. But having that said, I think all of us these days, we're not looking for people to be kind of brushing up against us. When you're standing in line to go use the facilities, I think people are going to be respectful and try to give at least a little bit of space.
Okay, sounds good. Sean Kyer has sent in a question for you, Anthony. He says, if the allowed number of fans is less than the number of season ticket members, what's the procedure for determining which members can attend the games?
So again, thanks for the question, Sean, and I'm hopeful that it won't be an issue. But if it is, we will be doing what we did last week for the rookie game, which is, what's the credit card line membership has its privilege. And, and that, I think that's American Express, and they say how long you've been a member since. That's how we've been going about it, is you'll be tiered based upon your tenure of being with the Senators as a season seat member, and kind of go down that line. Again, I am hopeful we don't have to go through that, because first and foremost, all of our season seat members, I get it. There's season seat members that have only been with us a couple of years because they've only lived in Ottawa for a couple of years. So you would say, why should they be penalized? unfortunately, at the end of the day, when you have limited capacity, you have to make decisions about how you're going to allow, who you're going to provide the opportunity to first. Hopefully we're not there, because all of our season seat members are certainly, all of our fans are important to us, but none more important than our season seat members.
Okay. Anthony Leblanc is the president of business operations, joining us on the Senators Town Hall. We thank you very much for your time here. Lots more questions, my friend. Stuart Easton has sent this one in. With the current COVID protocols, will children under 12 not vaccinated yet need to provide a negative test to enter the CTC for a game?
Great question, Stuart, especially as a father of an 8-year-old girl. The rules are that those under 12 who cannot be vaccinated essentially follow their parents. So as long as their parents or the guardians that are taking them to the game are fully vaccinated, those children follow their parents, and no, there is no requirement for a negative PCR or antigen test. They would just follow along with, as I said, the parents or guardians that are taking them.
Sounds good. A few questions now regarding the Senators' front office. And you've mentioned your time with the Coyotes. Bill Morris would like to know, although NHL teams develop the front office structure over time, is this business operations group, yours now, similar or different than any other?
Well, I would say, firstly, it is certainly leaner than it would have been pre-COVID. So when I joined, the front office here was probably 40%, if not 50% bigger than it is today. And that wasn't to say that Ottawa had a much larger, it was fairly similar when I was down in Arizona. COVID has allowed us to take a step back and take a long, hard look at our businesses. And look, at the end of the day, we had to play a full season without fans. So there's an economic impact to that. So we have to make hard choices and ensure that, as I said, we're as lean as possible. Now, having that said, I was lucky enough to be able to go out and recruit a handful of individuals that worked with me that I had recruited when I was in Arizona. And I can say proudly that I think we have, if not the best, certainly top 5 front office on the business side. Our executive vice president of ticket sales has over 35 years experience in multiple leagues, from the NFL to the NHL. Same thing with our VP of marketing. He was in Major League Baseball. He was in higher education, and he started his career in this little company called Disney. Our CFO was in Major League Baseball, National Basketball Association, the NHL. And then underneath that group, we've really hired a group of really smart, energetic, and imaginative people. That's really the key for us. We want, and look, I've known members of the front office at the Senators for decades. Some are dear friends, some of are acquaintances. It's nothing against the former group. I think that, look back, 2007 through 2013, the Senators were one of the leading teams when it came to the business side, the revenue side. But, that hasn't been the case for the last number of years. And Eugene noticed that, and he went out and hired me and gave me kind of the ability to go out and make change. So that's what we've done. We haven't had the opportunity, and Eugene's very quick to point this out to us. Hey, you guys, don't start patting yourselves on the back yet. You haven't, I like what I'm seeing, but now let's see what happens. Having that said, on the sponsorship side, I'm very encouraged. We've already announced, some of the changes that are coming on the sponsorship side, which, by the way, will affect some of the fan experience. The first one was when, on the day that Pierre's contract was extended, he sent out a tweet with him with a Gabriel pizza, yes. Which I thought was great. So we, obviously we've forged a relationship with a great local company that, not just on the sponsorship side, but obviously they'll be providing their product in the facility. And there'll be many more announced here over the next couple of weeks, some re-signings of major corporate sponsors and some new ones. So we're very proud of what we're doing, but now we've, as my mother would like to say, the proof is in the pudding. We've got to go out and do and show what we can do.
I think you just answered the question that I had lined up from Kevin Lee and Warren Jansen. They're interested in opportunities for small businesses in the region. And we've already seen, as you just mentioned, the replacement of Pizza by Gabriel's Pizza. And what a wonderful pizza it is. I had it Friday and it was fantastic. And they'd like to know, are we going to see more opportunities to leverage local businesses with the Senators, or are those that are starting up that could use some extra publicity?
100%. And again, look, I don't want this to take away from some of our great long-term, even Pizza. It was one of those situations that, they've been a long-term partner of the Senators. And as we said to them, look, it was just time for a change. I like going into buildings, and it's one of the joys of my job is that I get to go see, other buildings and see how they provide in-game entertainment and food and beverage opportunities. I like going to the buildings that have that local feel. Mm-hmm. It's not to take away, obviously people would, I think there'd be boycotts or there'd be riots down the streets if we took out Tim Hortons, which we're not, don't worry. They're one of our partners. But the point is, those national partners are important to us, certainly, but I like the idea of partnering with some of the more local, and you'll see some of those coming here in the next couple of weeks as we lead into the season. And yes, we will be continuing to look to forge those relationships as we move forward. That local feel, it's a great opportunity because you have so many people coming into the building that are coming to Ottawa just for a game. And for those, like Gabriel, for example, if you're coming from outside of the certainly outside of the province, you're probably not familiar with it. So what a great way for them to have their product tested by people who otherwise wouldn't. So it's a win-win situation for sure. So it's something we will continue.
All right, we've got a question from a hat trick of talent here. Richard Caron, Steve Goebel, and my good buddy Mike Minot, who indicates it was great to meet you at the barbecue earlier this summer.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, they were all wondering, and if you ever need a golf partner, Mike is the guy to do it. He's not a good golfer at all. And if you're not, then he'll be on par with you. I golfed with him and I'm not, he's way better than me. Anyway, they'd like to know what short and long-term goals have you set for the business side to build confidence in the community? And, from my vantage point here as a sports broadcaster, there's an old saying, winning cures everything. It's been lean on the winning side for the last couple of seasons. It's looking very bright on the winning side as we head into this season. But in an effort to sort of build confidence in the community, what might have you got in store?
Well, and you're right. I mean, first, I couldn't agree with you more. Winning makes everything better. And I've said this many times that, when the team isn't winning, the drive to the arena takes longer. The beer isn't as cold. The fries aren't as crispy. It's just not a fun experience. So yes, the optimism that we have for this team is certainly going to drive the enthusiasm. But you're right. There's also been somewhat of a disconnect between the club and the community. There's been, for right or wrong reasons. And, I think Eugene and Pierre made that very difficult decision after that 2017 Eastern Conference Championship run to basically gut the organization. And I think a lot of people looked somewhat cross-eyed at that and didn't agree with it. Now, I think most people are agreeing that was the right decision to make, but it's never easy. And so I think that that's a big part of it. And then, look, we've also had 18 months where we as the, it isn't just us on the business side. We like having guys like DJ, like Pierre, the two Pierres, Pierre Dorion and Pierre Maguire and Peter McTavish and members of the team out in the community. Yeah, had that opportunity. Like I talked with the people at Rogers House. They're devastated that it's been 2 years that they haven't been able to have the team come in for their traditional Christmas with the young patients. Hopefully this year that begins to happen again. In my role, I've been in it 18 months. The number of face-to-face meetings, I mean, if you take away the last month where it's finally starting to come back to normal, I probably had a dozen face-to-face meetings over a period of 15 months. So we need the opportunity to get out and be in the community. And again, I referenced our VP of marketing who's come on board. One of the things you'll start seeing from us as the season starts up is you'll see a lot more of the Senators in the community. Great. And what I mean by that is grassroots. You'll be at the Lansdowne Market on Sunday and you'll see representatives. We're creating something called the Street Team, where it'll just be people going out and maybe it'll be fun things. We'll have Sparty there and, doing things with the kids, but it could also be ticket giveaways, just building awareness, building that relationship with the community. A lot of it was outside of our control, but now as we come out of this godforsaken pandemic, I think at least it gives us the opportunity. So that's what you're going to start seeing. I think it all comes down to just seeing, the Senators' colors, Senators' jerseys, the Senators themselves in the community in a much bigger way.
I can't tell you how much the fans react when they see Chris Neil come into an event, wearing his jersey and his teeth are out, and it's absolutely fantastic. And I saw him today and he's in fantastic shape. I thought he was coming in with a hockey bag over his shoulder. Listen, you and I talked before we actually went on the air, and we were talking about the building. 26 years old here now, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Are you still getting feedback on the building location?
Look, as I think I said to you before we started, the problem now, well, it's a positive and then a negative. So when the building was built 26 years ago, or I guess it broke ground, goodness, 28 years ago. I mean, it was literally in the middle of nowhere. The westward expansion was just beginning, and there was none of the development that you see in and around Canada now. So, the good news is we have a large part of our fan base that is already in that neighborhood. The problem with the city the size of Ottawa geographically is it doesn't matter where you put the building, you're going to have people upset. So I personally, I think the building, and I'm not pandering, I think it's a great building. I think it has great bones. Eugene's put a lot of money into it to keep modernizing it. Club Red, some of the changes that have happened in the food and beverage experience. So I personally am not hearing as much. Obviously, there was the period of time when there was a potential for a facility in another location closer to downtown. That's starting to dissipate a little bit. Okay. But having that said, I've had, in particular in the last couple of months, conversations with Eugene, and he understands, everybody understands these buildings have a certain shelf life. So he is starting to explore what he thinks is the best thing to do in regards to the facility. That's about the most I can say about it. But having that said, when you look at the advent of the LRT coming out west, yes. I see it every single day driving on the Queensway. Obviously it's a couple of years away from coming to the arena, but as we've seen, we've been in a pandemic in 18 months, and some of it's gone very slow. It's also gone very quickly. So that happens quickly. Ride share increasing, people coming to the facilities. OC Transpo has always been very good at getting people out on their buses. The new interchange that just opened in the past week off of the Queensway. All of these things help get people in and out of the facility. So I don't hear as much complaint. I think, and in particular, if there's a halo effect of the pandemic, it's the fact that people have gone this period of time since March of 2020 where they haven't been able to go. I think now it's like people are like, we'll walk there. Let's just get to the arena.
Absolutely. Let's shift gears to game entertainment here now, if we can, Anthony. And Michael Levitan has asked an important question here. What are your short and long-term plans to improve fan engagement?
So again, unfortunately for my VP of marketing, Tom, I'm putting a lot of pressure on him and his team. That is an area that is really important to us. And again, I know I mentioned Eugene's name a number of times. Eugene and I and Tom and the group have talked, for example, about the experience when you go to Vegas. You go to a Golden Knights game. It's a production. It's entertainment. And look, at the end of the day, DJ and Pierre don't like hearing us saying this, but going to a hockey game is a night of entertainment for most people. So we understand that. So I'm not going to give anything away right now, but we are looking at a number of things to improve the overall game entertainment experience. And it's not to take away from the work that Emily, who runs our in-game experience, has done to date. But it's time to freshen things up, I think, and it's always a good thing to do that. So there will absolutely be some changes. You will see some interesting changes in and around the building. We want to create, I don't know if I want to say a party-like environment, but it is along those lines. We want, when you come up to the building and you park and you get out, we want you to hear almost a festival type of experience.
Right on.
DJ or a band, have stuff for the kids, have an outdoor experience. And I think we can do that year round. I mean, obviously it'll probably be a shorter amount of time people would spend outside in January, but creating that winter experience, we think that's one thing to do. Obviously, we're making some changes with some of the F&B. Gabriel's already been announced. A couple of more announcements will be coming imminently. And then it's, how do we get people engaged in the game itself? And that's where we're relying on Tom and Emily and the team to really focus on what is it people want to see? There's some stuff that is just you can't get rid of because people love it, but we really want to liven things up and get people engaged. So again, I'm not going to give anything away because we want this stuff to be fresh when it comes out, but look for some fun stuff.
Okay, I think you've just answered Martin Bedard's question, and that is any plans for live concerts at games? And he cites the example, and this was wonderful in 2018, 2019. Brett Kissel played at Country Night at Canadian Tire Center. It just added to the entire atmosphere.
First, an aside on Brett, he sang the anthem for us in Arizona back in like 2013, 2014. Okay. It was just this, I mean, he's still a young guy, but he was a young kid, just becoming the nicest young fellow I've ever met. He couldn't have been nicer, couldn't have been more excited to be there singing the Canadian anthem. Anyway, as an aside, yes, we are planning a number of different types of theme nights throughout the year. Last I saw, I think there's at least a dozen, if not more. And we are, look, a lot of this stuff, we do feel we have this intelligence in regards to what people want, but at the same time, you want to test stuff out. So I think it's fair to say we will be testing out a concert type experience. We're working on, the challenge right now is some of the acts that we're looking at are still somewhat not traveling, not booking, but that is starting to change. So yes, we will definitely be testing that out, but there will be a variety of theme nights that we'll be announcing over the next little while. And I will, the one I'll tip, since you've already said it, there will absolutely be a country night. I don't know if people realize Ottawa is the second biggest country market in the country after Calgary. So there's a lot of country fans here, and that's a separate aside. Part of my job and the job of the front office is also running the other events and bringing other events into the building outside of the NHL. I can tell everybody, like you're starting to see some announcements that have come out. Mentioned country. We've already announced Eric Church. I believe. Well, I better be careful. I want to make sure. I won't say. Okay. But we've got 2 or 3 more fantastic country acts that are being announced. It is going to be a very robust touring season because these acts haven't had the opportunity to tour. So I think that's the other thing people should be excited about is there's going to be just a tremendous amount of great concerts coming through the facility, along with great family shows.
Anthony Leblanc is the president of business operations with the Ottawa Senators. We're going to keep you for just another couple of minutes if we may. And you've done a terrific job, Anthony, of answering questions that haven't been asked yet. And I just want to acknowledge Randy St. Germain, along with Susan and Tony Delati, is sent in a question that you've already addressed. They wanted to know what will the Senators be doing to give the fans more of an event feeling like the Vegas Golden Knights, and in the way of marketing an in-person game experience that establishes our identity. I think you've touched on that already. So we just wanted to say thanks to Randy and Susan and Tony for sending that in. Jerry Benoit touches on something interesting here, and I don't want to make this uncomfortable, but it's very valid here. And Jerry has sent in this note: due to the drastic discovery of now over 6,000 Indigenous children at residential schools across Canada, is there a plan to remove the Prime Minister's race during intermissions?
Yeah, I mean, the last thing we want to do is offend, anybody, in particular, the members of our First Nations in these terrible discoveries that have happened over the last, year, period of time, but certainly in the last year. So it's fair to say it is something we are looking very closely at, and I don't believe a decision's been reached yet, but I think we're leaning towards certainly putting a pause on that or making changes in regards to it, because again, the last thing we want to do, it's a very difficult situation for everybody, but we don't want to be making things more difficult for people that have already gone through such a difficult situation. So we're very cognizant of that, and we'll be continuing to ensure that we do the right thing. That is very important to us, and just a tragic, terrible situation that's happened in the past, and all we can do is learn from our history and try to be better.
Well said. All right, Jacob Vita, I apologize, Jacob, but he sent in this question: with the success of the latest jerseys, do you think you'll add an alternate jersey in the upcoming season? For example, in 2001 to 2007, the alternate jersey, but with the current logo. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, that's the fun stuff for me. That's, when we get into the design stuff. So obviously we introduced the the new logo last year. And when that happens, you're precluded from having a new third jersey for a period of time. So we are now working with some, actually we're trying, when you mentioned local, on the local feel for, food and beverage and partners, we're engaging with a couple of local designers to see what they come up with. As I said, this is the fun stuff. We've asked people to kind of, go out and see what they can come back with, because yes, we would love to introduce, a really exciting new third jersey. And I got to tell you, and maybe it's because this gentleman was my neighbor for a number of years, who designed that if you recall, way back when the original group was putting the bid together and they had the Peace Tower logo. A dear friend of mine designed that. And I've said to him, hey, maybe we should, no offense, we should freshen it up, but there might be something we could do. And I'm not saying it's a third jersey, but just, that type of marketing and that type of logo. So I don't know if that'll actually be something we end up doing, but it's the type of stuff we're looking at that people, he always tells me, and of course he designed it, so of course he would say this, but he says whenever he wears that out, he's got constantly people coming up, where'd you get that? Where'd you get that? So,
absolutely.
I think that would be a fun idea, but yes, again, as I said earlier, a verbose way of saying, yes, we are definitely exploring what a new third jersey would look like.
Fantastic. All right, we've got one final question here regarding tickets, and this comes from Adam Johnstone. And Adam would like to know what can be done to incentivize flex pack and half season ticket holders to purchase more tickets. Adam is a flex 10 pack holder, wanted to buy a flex 20, but there's no further discount on ticket prices, so he didn't. And I'm just going to quote what he has said here. I work emergency on call for Enbridge, so a half season pack doesn't work for me, as I would only be able to attend half the games. I would also like to buy tickets to extra games, but don't usually because I don't get them at the same discount as my flex 10. Anyway, do you want to address that? He goes on a little bit more here, but we're a little
I think it's a great question, Adam. And look, there's so many people that are in your situation that either they're kind of in a situation where they can't commit until you get closer to an event, and more importantly, they may not know how they want to go about experiencing the game. There might be a Friday night game they want to go with 3 buddies and sit in the 200s and have a few beer. On Saturday, they might want to take their spouse, or maybe there's a time where they've got some friends in town and they want to go big and have a suite, but you want to be able to incentivize people that they're getting the proper discount for the investment that they've made in the organization. So we created, before my time of joining, it was being put in place, something called Sens on Demand. So Adam and everybody listening that's interested in this, I urge you, go to our website and take a look at this, or just call into our ticket office and talk to one of our reps about Sens on Demand. I think it actually does exactly what you're looking for, Adam, which is, provide you with that incentive to essentially put your money in a Sens bank and get those discounts, but then have the flexibility to use that spend in whatever way makes sense that particular time you're going to a game. But I agree with you. I mean, as I've said before, I was a long-term season ticket holder of the Sens. I'm a long-term sad season ticket holder of the New York Jets. So I get what it's all about but you need that incentive, because why be a season seat member if you're not being treated special? And obviously it's been almost a perverse way of treating our fans special because of the fact that they've had access to a limited capacity building. But I will say, and I hope this isn't the case, but if we're still somewhat limited in capacity, starting the season, the people who are going to get access to tickets first will be season seat members, or people who have, Sens on Demand or that type of relationship with the organization. That, it was asked earlier about how you decide who gets access. You give access to the people that have committed to the organization and that are, strong members and want to put their money into ensuring that they get access. That is one, again, I hope that's not the case. I hope we have full capacity, but I just put that out as a potential that, if you're, I certainly expect that we will have an increase in capacity here in very short order. And I'm hopeful it's a bigger number, but if it isn't, that's the way you ensure you get access. So that would be my final plug. But Adam, great question. And look, we continue to look for your feedback, everybody, in regards to what it is you're looking for from these types of packages. And that's really how Sens on Demand was born, was people telling us, sometimes I want to go sit in the 100, sometimes I want to sit in the 300s. Give me the opportunity to have that benefit, but, have the flexibility to choose what I want.
Everybody likes options. How are ticket sales going as we close this out?
They're going good. They could be a lot better, and that's based off of there's so many people that are sitting there waiting and saying what's happening with capacity. Now, we'll be very clear that if we sell tickets and then there's no capacity, or the capacity for those tickets aren't available, there'll be very quick refund options. But it's been as I said at the beginning, it's been an unfortunate cloud. It's not quite as dark a cloud as it was, but it's still a cloud, and we want to get that damn thing out of there and see the sun.
Well, this has been absolutely terrific. You've answered all the questions, and the main point that I'm taking away from this is the club is ensuring safety first, and allowing
100%.
fans back into the building, and double vax, masks, everything else. Absolutely fantastic. We heard from DJ yesterday, sell this hockey club, and it's easy to buy what he's selling, and certainly easy to jump on board with what you have said. We thank you very much for your time. Anthony Leblanc is president of business operations with the Ottawa Senators, and been trying times here for the last 18 months. So we really appreciate the efforts that you and your team have put forth. I can tell you that this is the second of 6 town halls that the Senators are hosting. And our next one comes up next Tuesday, when the Vice President of Player Development, Pierre Maguire, will join me, and certainly look forward to that. If anybody knows Pierre, you know how enthusiastic he is. I get a big handshake from, well, it's a fist pump actually, every day from Pierre now, and it's been wonderful. Anthony, thank you for this, and look forward to seeing you face to face in the building, perhaps as early as, well, maybe the scrimmage on Saturday morning, and if not, then the preseason home opener on the 29th against the Leafs. Good stuff.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Anthony. And once again, folks, thank you very much to everyone who has submitted questions. Your participation is extremely important and very much appreciated. Thank you again. Look forward to talking to you next Tuesday with Pierre Maguire. Enjoy your night, everyone.